We were docked in Livorno, and the previous night was a crew bar party night. I woke up to stabbing pains behind my eyes. I could tell that this hangover was going to be one of those rare and painful ones. I was laying in my bed and thinking, why, God? Why? Why do I do these things? Then my mind drifted into the reasons why, and I smiled. I know why. Because I can, and it was funny. Last night, I invented a new drink. I called it the local paint stripper mega mix, and it was brutal. I had a litre jug and in the middle of the crew bar so everyone could see. I opened up the bag of dreams, then produced a multitude of local spirits I've been collecting. Out came the bottle of grappa, followed by a bottle of Ukrainian vodka, followed by a bottle of ouzo, and finally a bottle of metaxa. I began to tip out a third of each bottle into the litre jug. Then when our 4 spirits were poured in, I topped up the jug with 2 tins of Red Bull. I looked around for something to stir the potion of doom, but I had nothing. Then I noticed one of my theatre boys walked by and he had a podger sticking out of his khaki pocket. I beckoned him over and grabbed the tool from his pocket. If anyone doesn't know what a podger is, it's basically a ratchet tool commonly used in theatres for bolting set or trusses together. I dipped the spikes into the podger into the concoction of dread and stirred with rapid rotations. At this point I started to draw a crowd as I began to tip a glass full of mega mix into my glass. I took a few deep breaths in and then took a big swig and paused. I didn't flinch. I was expecting some kind of retch, but none came. I was waiting for my body to judder, and it did not. It took a while for my body to analyse the taste, and I needed another swig to do this. There was a silence all around me, and the second swig went down my gullet. There was an air of anticipation around me as everyone was waiting for the result of my experiment. I'm sure my audience was waiting for me to chunder hard, but it didn't come. The drink itself was actually quite nice. I took another chug and my glass was nearly empty. I poured out a refill and passed it around. That's fucking nice. Everyone take a swig, I said as I picked up the jug and poured another glass to pass around. As the drinks were going around, I picked up the jug and began to down the contents. I then began to mix a refill of the jug, and the rest of the night melted into obscurity. I simply couldn't remember the rest of what happened from after that point. There was a knock at my door, and I could hear a vivid shouting. "Open the door, you cunt," said the voice. It was the pianist. I climbed out of bed and stubbed my toe on the wardrobe on my way to the door. I let out a yelp of pain and hobbled the rest of the way to the door. I slammed the handle down, and the pianist was standing there ready to go ashore. "Come in, you cunt," I said to the pianist, and he did. "I'll be about 10 minutes. Help yourself to a drink, dude." "Man, I can't drink. Your mixtures last night killed me. How the fuck you still alive? You drank most of all that shit." "I don't know, dude," I said as I slipped my cut-down shorts on. "I felt like I'm on borrowed time with my health after last night," I said as I threw the nearest t-shirt on and stepped into my flip-flops. "Let's go, dude," I said. I was unshowered and stinking of hangover, but I just didn't care at this point in time. I just needed to get off this tin can and find a cure for this hangover. Both the pianist and I didn't say much as we walked off the ship and through the terminal building. We waited in near silence for the shuttle bus, both looking like death had just punched us both in the face. The shuttle bus arrived and a flow of passengers got off from the bus. I looked at my watch and noticed that it was nearly lunchtime. It made sense. The cheapskate passengers returned so they didn't have to pay for food. As soon as the passengers were clear, we boarded the bus and waited for it to depart. The engine sprang to life and the bus juddered forward. It took 5 minutes for the bus to clear the port, then another 10 minutes to be taken into town. There isn't much to do in Livorno. It's just a shopping centre, but we dock here as it's the gateway port to Pisa and Florence. The shuttle bus stopped at the drop-off point and we departed. It was only a short walk to a little pizzeria that I always went to. This pizzeria had a reliable Wi-Fi and the food wasn't too bad, but most of all they sold a lemon soft drink in a black can that always snapped me out of a hangover, and that is what we were here for. We arrived and I sat down at a table that was next to the road. I was in no state to order, but the pianist was. He went inside and returned with a handful of hangover killers, the tin of lemon fizz and some menus. I cracked open a tin of lemon fizz and necked it in one go. My hangover was far from being cured. I just felt weak and the stabbing pains from behind my eyes were ever present. I looked at the menu and it was all in Italian. The waiter must have run out of his English ones, or he might have just been fucking with us. I was too trash to be able to figure out which. I just craved the pepperoni pizza, but as pepperoni pizza is an American invention, if you ask for that in Italy, they would give you a vegetarian pizza with peppers and cheese. The closest thing to pepperoni pizza in Italy is a diavola pizza, which has spicy salami and sausage. It would have to do. Eventually, the waiter came over, and both the pianist and I ordered another handful of lemon fizz and a diavola each. I bagged a few tins of lemon fizz to take back to the ship for after, and then I heard this long, high-pitched tone. At first, I couldn't work out what this tone was. I was still in bad shape and feeling drained. The high-pitched tone began to pulsate and get louder and louder. This made my stabbing headache throb harder and harder and harder. I looked around and there was a van parked next to me. Its hazard lights were blinking and the sound was emanating from it. I headbutted the table in disbelief and frustration. The high-pitched noise pollution continued to stab at me. Bleep, 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 fucking bleep, cunt, bleep, fuck, cunt, bleep, fucking cunt, bleep. On the opposite table to us, they sat a family down and two children were screaming, shouting at each other. Tantrum, shouting, bleeping, tantrum, shouting and bleeping, bleep, bleep, tantrum, shouting, bleeping, fucking bleeping. A cigarette I forgot was in my gob just fell out of my mouth and onto the table. The pianist could probably see the rage and annoyance seeping out of my eyes. My head was throbbing and I could feel my eyelids spasm. The left side of my face was twitching, not like it was a stroke. I couldn't even describe what it was, but the twitching turned into shaking. I could feel my rage just bubbling, as all I could hear was the tantrums. As I could hear the screaming and shouting. I could feel my rage just bubbling, as all I could hear was the tantrums, as I could hear the screaming and shouting, as I could hear this bastard alarm from the van bleeping, and then the cherry on the cake. As my pizza came out, a man set up his electric guitar and amplifier 10 metres down from the pizzeria and started playing songs from the 1950s. This song was playing doo-wop songs, badly. It was just barcode after barcode with tone-deaf vocals. I shoved a slice of pizza in my mouth and tried to ignore my anger. As I was chewing, even the noise of me chewing was driving me fucking crazy. Chew, doo-wop, tone-deaf, tantrum, bleeping, screaming, bleeping, chewing, tone-deaf, bleeping, tantrum, doo-wop, bleeping, chewing, tone-deaf, tantrum, bleeping, screaming, tone-deaf, fucking bleeping, chewing, bleeping, doo-wop, screaming, bleeping. The rage was fizzing out. The rage was fizzing out of me. I could feel pizza-coloured drool seeping out the corner of my mouth. I could see the pianist looking at me. I could see the pianist looking at me, knowing that I was about to explode. The pianist was trying not to laugh at me, but he was failing miserably. I started to twitch some more. This noise pollution was driving me crazy. I just wanted to stand up and pick up the empty chair from next to me and club the children to death with it. I wanted to pick up the dead children and throw their broken bodies through the windscreen of the van. I wanted to pick up a shard of glass from the van's broken windscreen, walk over to the busman and cut his fucking throat with the shard, and he grabbed the guitar and finished the cunt off by smashing his face in death by fender. I would hold the bloody guitar in the air in triumph and shout at the top of my lungs, "Fuckers!" But alas, hungover fantasies just don't happen. I just headbutted my table repeatedly to try and kill my rage. It was working, and slowly the noise began to disappear. The family with the screaming children had paid and fucked off. The driver returned to the van and he muted his alarm with his key fob. I called him a cunt, though I don't think he either heard me or he ignored me, but he got in and drove off quickly. We were left with just the busker. He was still playing very badly and singing tone deaf. Within minutes, the waiter went over to the tone deaf cunt and made him pack up and fuck off. I called over the waiter and thanked him for making that tone deaf cunt fuck off. I handed him €5 and he shook my hand. The waiter had probably witnessed me self-harming over the noise. I finished my pizza and necked another 2 cans of lemon fizz, and sure enough, my hangover was subsiding.